On behalf of the Akshaya Patra Foundation, I welcome you all. Thank you for your time. I would personally like to thank Shireen Vani at the Swiss India Chamber of Commerce for her efforts in promoting the event, and also would like to thank Paul Riot at Kopalana for his firm commitment and standing behind the Akshaya Patra Foundation Switzerland in holding the fundraiser on the Kopalana platform. During the 25-minute webinar, you would have the opportunity to donate by clicking on the donate button on top of your screens. I would like to open this session with one of the famous quotes of Mahatma Gandhi ji, and I quote, "Be the change that you wish to see in the world," end quote. There are some moments in life which have the power to question our own being. And pandemic, and with all that it has brought upon us globally, is one such moment. Now, as we look to build our lives beyond the pandemic, there are still millions of people who are suffering either with the loss of their loved ones or the loss of their livelihoods. So let us pause and reflect and focus on some communities in India that we're going to talk about in this webinar. I'd like to introduce Mr. Bhavani Singh Shekhawat, who is the CEO of Akshaya Patra Europe, to walk us through the journey of Akshaya Patra. Thank you.
Hello and good morning, everyone. I join you from sunny London. Sunny is an understatement. Thank you very much, Vahini, for leading this webinar, and for SICC and Shireen and the Kopalana team for helping us through this. Akshaya Patra is a story of love. It's a story of the head. It's a story of the heart. It's a story of impact with speed. It's a story of making a huge difference at scale. Akshaya Patra literally stands for a vessel of food that never runs out. Akshaya means limitless in Sanskrit, and Patra is actually the root of the word pot, a pot of food. And that's exactly what we've been striving to do for the last 20 years. And over the last 20 years, this organization that started with a prayer, a whim to serve children so that they could go to school. In other words, the insight that in order to empower education, we first need to transform what went into the body of these children. If we did that, then even with relatively inadequate external infrastructure, the children would learn a lot better. And over the last 20 years, that is exactly what we've seen. We started with 1,500 children, and today we serve in excess of 1.8 million children every morning, 6 days a week, over 300 days, close to 300 days a year. And that story is a story of innovation. That's a story of faith. That's a story of science. That's a story of systems. So, how do we create an environment where we use the best of technology, the best of innovation, the best of human ingenuity, and the best of community and collaborative partnerships so that the tri-sector model that the world is talking about is actually delivered with speed and at scale? That's what we've been aspiring to do over the last 20 years. And in the next 20 minutes, between me and my colleagues from clearly three different parts of the world, we'll have our colleagues join from India. We have Vahini and the team logging in from Switzerland, and me and my team from London. Hopefully, we'll take you through this kaleidoscopic journey of Akshaya Patra, and that inspires you to come and join hands with us, because every little makes a huge difference to the work that we do, and particularly in the pandemic, where lives and livelihoods have been lost. The medical crisis is now coming to an end. The humanitarian crisis is only beginning. And at Akshaya Patra, we are committed to leave no stone unturned to ensure that we do everything that ensures that people who are suffering from the aftermath of this pandemic have one less problem, and that of hunger. So once again, I join you in helping you collaborate, and I invite you to help us to be able to do this with speed and at scale, and hopefully together we will make the difference that we were all destined to make. Now, I'd love to introduce you to my wonderful colleague, one of the finest hunger warriors I've met in my life, Sandeep Talwar. Sandeep will join us from India. He's the Chief Marketing Officer for Akshaya Patra, but he literally is the force that drives all of us to do what we do. So, Sandeep will come after, soon after the video that you'll just see, which sort of characterizes the work we do.
The news has spread in the village that there is a meal being provided in the school, and so more children have started showing up in the school.
No child in this world should ever be deprived of education because of hunger.
My name is Malikardun Honamnor. My name is Megha. I want to become nurse, engineer, doctor. I want to become teacher,
Soldier.
lawyer. I want to become police.
ಅಕ್ಷಯ ಪಾತ್ರೆಯ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಹೇಳಬೇಕಂದ್ರೆ ಊಟ ತುಂಬ ಚೆನ್ನಾಗಿರುತ್ತೆ, ನಂಗೆ ತುಂಬ ಇಷ್ಟ, ಮತ್ತು ತುಂಬ ಪೌಷ್ಟಿಕಾಂಶವನ್ನು ನೀವು ಕೊಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೀರಾ. ತರಕಾರಿ ಎಲ್ಲ ಇಷ್ಟು ತರಕಾರಿ ಕಾಳುಗಳೆಲ್ಲ.
Feeding a hungry child and seeing that the child gets educated is not charity. It's the social responsibility of everyone who is doing well in this world.
Namaskaram from India, and good morning to all of you. Thank you all for taking the time to be here today. As we are all aware, the pandemic has taken a toll on the economy globally, not only just posing a health crisis, but a humanitarian crisis too, especially for the underprivileged of the society. In India, COVID 19 has aggravated the levels of poverty and hunger. To the first wave in 2020, when India's health crisis was moderated by stringent lockdowns, the plight of the poor and the migrant workers came to the forefront, with Akshay Patra immediately harnessing its resources to begin food relief, supporting the daily wage workers who had lost their livelihood and had no money to support themselves even for one meal a day. In the last 15 months, Akshay Patra has served over 128 meals to migrant workers, victims of the floods in Bihar, Assam, Northeast, pregnant lactating mothers, the homeless at the shelter homes, attendants who've been starving outside the hospitals because the shops were closed because of COVID, and our midday meal beneficiaries, 1.8 million beneficiaries we used to feed every day from government schools. On an average, we are feeding about 10 million meals every month now across the length and breadth of our nation. I remember the first lockdown initially, the first 3 months, there were a lot of challenges. We all heard about it. Two families survived with taking some loans, but now they're struggling to pay high interest. Then came the second wave, where 90% of the relief program was focused on medical support, impacting the hunger relief program. In fact, I recall about a year ago when I was in the office in the month of the June, I received a phone call from the reception which was forwarded to me. This phone call was from a young widow, a mother of two, who called up and said, that I run a parlor. Unfortunately, my parlor is down and we're not able to do any business the last 2 months. And I understand you are giving food to the government going school children and the families. Fortunately, unfortunately, I was blessed earlier and my children used to go to the private school. But now I have no money, no money to feed my children. Can you provide me with those two ration boxes? Now, these are the people who want to live with dignity. And trust me, it's been a year. In our call center, we are continuing to flood it with calls from artisans, transgenders, cabbies, and workers who have been employed in the factories and malls. In Karnataka state alone, there are 3 lakh workers or employees who are out of job from only the mall sector, right, for over a year now. Where would they go? These are the people who want to live with dignity. They do not want to stand in queues for a food because they have the respect. They want to maintain the respect. That's where Akshay Patra comes in. That's where Akshay Patra delivers them a family happiness kit, which helps them to cook the food back at their home, cooked by their own mother. So the pillars of our approach program have been largely four. Right? One is speed and scale. Second is a network of our 57 kitchens in 14 states of India. Third is the efficiency with large experience of 20 years. And fourth is the large team of 7,000 hunger warriors like me who work day and night to serve others. We are far from the reach needed to ensure that the next generation of India's children do not suffer from the malnutrition and families are protected against hunger and starvation. So, in parallel to simply serving food, Akshay Patra has gone a step further to partner with medical institutions and roll out vaccination drives to serve India's urban and poor now. One of a recent survey found that other than the superstitions which some of the women had saying that I may lose hair and so on and so forth, but the genuine cry which came across was the wage loss of 2 to 3 days post vaccination because of fever. And that was one of the biggest deterrent. And that's where we came in. We come in by ensuring a two-pronged support. of ensuring vaccination, which has been given to these people, along with a happiness kit, which is given to the family so that they can cover up for their loss of 2 to 3 days. So this 15 days of ration is happy. They are happy enough to come to the vaccination drive. In most of our vaccination camps, as you compare to the government run programs or any private hospital programs, the turnaround is nothing, not more or less 4 to 5 times. So at Akshaya Patra, every donation means another meal served and one more person being protected from the hunger. I hope to see you joining us in overcoming these difficult times. Now, let's watch a video and see the action on the ground.
ಸ್ವಾಮಿ ಅಂತ ಮಾರ್ಕೆಟ್ ಸಿಟಿ ಮಾರ್ಕೆಟ್ ಪೊಲೀಸ್ ಇನ್ಸ್ಪೆಕ್ಟರ್ ಇದ್ದೀನಿ. ಈಗ ಕಳೆದ 4 ದಿವಸಗಳಿಂದ ಇಸ್ಕಾನ್ ಸಂಸ್ಥೆ ವತಿಯಿಂದ ಅಕ್ಷಯ ಪಾತ್ರೆ ಅವರು ಇಲ್ಲಿ ನಮ್ಮ ಹಸಿದ ಜನರಿಗಾಗಿ ಫುಡ್ ವ್ಯವಸ್ಥೆ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದಾರೆ. ನಮ್ಮ ಕೋರಿಕೆ ಮೇರೆಗೆ ಅವರು ಮೊದಲು ಮಿಲ್ಲೆಟ್ಸ್ ಕೊಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ರು. ಈಗ ಅವರಿಗೆ ಸಾಕಾಗ್ತಾ ಇಲ್ಲ ಕ್ವಾಂಟಿಟಿ, ಮತ್ತು ಅವರಿಗೆ ಜಾಸ್ತಿ ಬೇಕು ಅನ್ನೋ ರಿಕ್ವೆಸ್ಟ್ ಮೇಲೆ ಅವರು ಅನ್ನ ಮತ್ತು ಸಾಂಬಾರು ಮತ್ತು ಬೇರೆ ಬೇರೆ ಥರ 2-3 ಥರ ಫುಡ್ನ ಅವರು ವ್ಯವಸ್ಥೆ ಮಾಡಿಕೊಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದಾರೆ. ನಿಜವಾಗ್ಲೂ ಇಂಥ ಪ್ಯಾಂಡಮಿಕ್ ಸ್ಥಿತಿಲಿ ಅವ್ರು ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇರೋದು ಬೇರೆಯವರಿಗೆ ಉತ್ಸಾಹ ಮೂಡಿಸುತ್ತೆ ಮತ್ತು ಇದೊಂಥರ ಶ್ಲಾಘನೀಯ ಕಾರ್ಯ ಆಗಿರ್ತದೆ. ನನ್ನ ವತಿಯಿಂದ ಮತ್ತು ನನ್ನ ಇಲಾಖೆ ಪೊಲೀಸ್ ಇಲಾಖೆ ವತಿಯಿಂದ ಅಕ್ಷಯ ಪಾತ್ರೆ ಅವರಿಗೆ ಮತ್ತು ಇಸ್ಕಾನ್ ಸಂಸ್ಥೆಯವರಿಗೆ ಹೃತ್ಪೂರ್ವಕವಾದ ಧನ್ಯವಾದಗಳನ್ನ ಸಮರ್ಪಿಸ್ತೀವಿ. ಥ್ಯಾಂಕ್ ಯು.
काम करती थी, मेरे कोठी बंद हो गई। 6 महीने से मेरे कोठी बंद हो गई। ये जो राशन मेरे को जो भी मिला है मेरे लिए बहुत फायदेमंद, बहुत अच्छे हुए। मैं बहुत दिक्कत में हूँ, तो जो भी मदद करे बहुत अच्छा कर रहा है। हमारे लिए भी, हमारा जो भाई बहन को उनको भी दे रहा है, उनके लिए भी बहुत अच्छा।
ನನ್ನ ಹೆಸರು ವಸಂತ. ನಮ್ಮ ಶಾಲೆ ಹೆಸರು GHPS ಪನತ್ತೂರು ಸ್ಕೂಲ್. ನಾನು ಪನತ್ತೂರಲ್ಲಿ ಇದ್ದೇನೆ. ಅಕ್ಷಯ ಪಾತ್ರೆ ಕಿಟ್ ಕೊಟ್ಟಿರುವುದಕ್ಕೆ ಧನ್ಯವಾದಗಳು.
Hello everybody, joining in from Switzerland as part of the Copalana team. I am one of its co-founders and we are very happy to support Akshaya Patra in this important COVID relief and ensuring that all of the donations directly are going to the meals. That's why we're not charging any commissions on our side. And we've now heard the important work Akshaya Patra has been doing over the years and is doing now very significantly in these difficult times. I would like to invite back in Vohini Delipakali, the founder of Akshaya Patra Switzerland, to get to know a bit more of the work here in Switzerland. I would also like to invite you to frame any questions in the chat below. Because after this short segment, we will have a quick Q&A, and we will happy to I will be happy to facilitate your questions to all of our three speakers. So Vahini, nice to have you back. Please tell us, how did Akshaya Patra start here in Switzerland?
Hi, Olivia. It actually started in summer of 2019 during one of my visits to the UK, where I met Bhavani at the Oxford Cambridge Club. He had a very compelling presentation that he made about Akshaya Patra and all its outreach programs. What touched me the most was to hear directly from the beneficiaries, that means the children of these outreach programs, and how it had shaped their lives. And what inspires me even today from the children is how they in turn became ambassadors of hope from the same communities that they came from. So we both kind of talked after his presentation, and we thought we should start, the Akshay Patra Switzerland chapter to primarily bring awareness to this issue of child hunger in India. And then late February, early March, the pandemic hit. The situation in India was very grave. We spoke briefly. So in April of 2020, four passionate, dedicated individuals in Baden, we all got together and we formed Akshay Patra Switzerland, which is registered in Baden. And today we are a team of, we are double the size within a year. And we have 25 plus very dedicated, passionate volunteers who are part of TAF Switzerland. So that's how our journey began.
Wonderful. I think it shows the impact and scale we've already heard from Mr. Bazabani also happening here in Switzerland. Could you tell us what is your personal connection to the cause of Akshaya Patra?
Yes, the real inspiration behind me joining Akshay Patra or standing for the cause of Akshay Patra is my mother. Um, as Bhavani mentioned, Akshay Patra is a limitless bowl of food. I remember when I was 3 years old, my mother used to cook a pot of rice for the domestic help at her home in India. And during lunch, her entire family used to come and sit around and enjoy the meals that mom used to provide. So I've grown up with these values of looking out, reaching out to people who absolutely don't have anything. And I think this is so much in me. And the second opportunity that I got was when I was working for a multinational company and I was working on a project for affordable low cost housing in India. And I got to visit one of the villages in South India. And I had the opportunity to meet a couple who had four daughters. They were living in a mud house with thatched leaves as roof, barely had anything to eat, barely clothed. They invite me with so much of hospitality. They make me comfortable. They offer me food. And I knew very well that they just didn't have anything. I just choked up. I said, this really cannot be in 2020 a reality of hunger in the world, especially in India. So I stand for the family because that family still inspires me. That they don't know how much they've changed me, but that truly is the inspiration for me to join Akshay Patra. This has stayed with me for 50 years. And when I got the opportunity to join the Akshaya Patra Foundation, I jumped on it. So that's my personal connect with Akshaya Patra.
Oh, that's wonderful. I think it's important, like all of us have causes that are close to our heart, and food is such an important part of it because it just doesn't just nurture the body, but also the soul and the mind.
Absolutely.
Can you tell us a bit about the plans of Akshaya Patra here in Switzerland?
Yes. So there are three goals or mission of Akshaya Patra in Switzerland. One is we want to build the Akshaya Patra brand. Uh, people should experience what the TPF brand is all about. Second is obviously we can't do without our volunteer network, so we want to grow and expand our footprint pan Switzerland. And third is, of course, to raise funds for this very noble cause. So these are the three missions that we have for Akshaya Patra. So if in the audience anybody is touched and we would like to align our goals moving forward with some of the initiatives that we would like to do, and we are in need of people who have this kind of an expertise. So moving forward in the future, we want to continue with our community events to build the brand, to grow our volunteer footprint. We also want to tell our story at the UN because it touches 6 out of the 17 SDGs. We also want to present at the World Economic Forum if possible. Our association with SICC continues, and also with the Indian Embassy. The other thing we want to do is also do some joint research projects with the educational institutions in Switzerland. Um, the fourth thing that we want to do is join hands with other foundations who are doing similar work for children. uh, of course, we would love to partner and leverage our assets with large corporates as well as small to medium sized enterprises. And the last is we also want to look at sports associations, which have a common vision to help children, with their charities. So this is basically what we are looking at moving forward, and we would love to have the audience join in, and they can connect with us at tapf.ch.
Wonderful. So much to do. I think joining causes like nowadays with the technology we have, like a webinar like this is always the way to move forward. So I'd like to invite in Mr. Bhavani and Mr. Sunil for a quick Q&A. I have some questions in. Hello back from India and England, right? So I have the first question, and that one would be, what makes Akshaya Patra unique? Can you explain how it has managed the scale and the impact it has created over the years? I don't know who would like to answer that question.
Let me take that, Olivia. First of all, thank you again for participating and leading this wonderful, wonderful initiative. And like Vahini said, we'd like to just invite you to talk to us. There's a whole lot of things we can do. Just talk to us and we'll figure out a way. But what makes Akshaya Patra unique really is a combination of three things. That we are an organization that believes in what we do. We are driven by faith. We are run by systems, but we are led by science. And that makes us truly unique. The fact that you can serve millions of children and families, not just during this pandemic, but on any given day, you need the best in science and technology. So you need good manufacturing practices, because remember, Akshaya Patra runs this program end to end. We cook in excess of 700 tons of food every day. That requires a large amount of scientific endeavor. But because we are also in the business of food, we have to conform to some of the most exacting food safety and hygiene laws. And given that it is India, it is a challenge. The geography, the scale, the dispersion, and the sheer amount of work we do. So you have to be driven by systems. So a combination of a strong purposive belief, an organization around scientific approaches to food and nutrition. So our food beats all of the the World Food Program norms. So our food has more than 450 to 650 calories. It's got 14 to 20 grams of protein. It's fresh, zero preservatives. It's hot. It is delivered in a condition that is perfect for the human body. So clearly, all of that requires a huge investment and belief in faith, science, and systems. And that's what makes us unique, I believe.
Wonderful. I think we have time for one more question. What about, and this one is, Akshaya Patra has a model which is poised to make a significant impact with food. Can you please shed some light on why food can be such a big force to create societal transformation? I don't know, maybe Mr. Sumi, yeah?
Yeah, thanks, Bhavani, and everyone. So we all know food is the most integral and essential part of our life. I don't recall any day or any meetings you could probably start without a coffee or a breakfast. So the children who come to these schools, most of them do not have the dinners in the night, and these are all common going school children. The average income would be far lower than 5,000 rupees a month, which is an average of about 150 to 200 rupees in India a day for these people. So affording a square meal and a 3 square meal is very difficult for them. And few of the surveys and the impact studies say that there are close to about 47% of the children who do not had or did not had meal the last night. We also found 3 years ago that the subject scores post the midday meal lunch served by Akshaya Patra were improved drastically because the sugar level went up, and so the absorption went up, and the results of those subjects were better than the morning subject scores. So the food has a direct correlation to education, right? And when you provide a direct education to the child, you make a better citizen, and that's where food makes a lot of difference, not only to the health of the child but to the economy in overall.
Wonderful. Thank you so much
Yeah, my pleasure.
for clearing this up and the significance really food has, especially in these crucial times of COVID relief right now. But as we have seen, it goes so much further than just that. So I give it back to you, Vahini, and thank you for the invitation to the webinar.
Thank you all. Yeah.
Thank you all again for joining us. Um, please remember, any donation that you make will make a difference to families who have been impacted by this devastating pandemic. Remember, when you go to the Starbucks, 2 cups of coffee at Starbucks could feed a family of 4 for 15 days. So, if any of you would like to donate, we have our camp at a later time. We have our campaign running on the Copilana platform for 30 days. Please visit the chat box where you can copy the link and do it at your own space, at your own time. And thank you again for joining us. Have a nice day.
Thank you again, and have a wonderful day. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, SICC. Thank you, Wahini, Olivia, and everyone. Let's together make the difference that we were all destined to make. Thank you.